Hello, Marky Dragon, also known as Marcus Eikenberry in real life, and I've got Jason Appleton with me today from Monger. Now,
Hello.
Jason, for those who didn't see the first episode of our first interview, tell everybody what Monger is.
Monger is the ultimate sandbox. It's the you notice I'm still wearing the same clothes I wore yesterday.
So am I.
Yeah, Greedmonger. It's a fantasy world. It's a sandbox. It's the ultimate sandbox. You start with nothing. You build an empire. I mean, it's all about politics, crafting, player versus player. You know, not necessarily dominating the world, but building the world.
So let's talk about that in this episode here. First, though, there's a Kickstarter campaign for this, and people can get in right now, and there's some benefits to pledging, being a contributor to this project, as opposed to waiting until the game is released. And that specifically, as I see it, is the amount of land you can buy. And land equals probably resources and power.
Yeah. I mean, you know, power, yes, in the sense that it's a lot of land parcels will have different spawn on them. I mean, it's just animals, monsters, different wildlife. So, you know, you control pretty much what spawns on your property.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll be able to, you know, charge other people in game currency to access that, you know, whatever it is on your property for a period of time. So there will be some elements of power there. But it's also going to establish a really interesting political dynamic as well, because he who controls the resources, you know, controls the power. So it has the power. What he does with it, he can either be a greedmonger, which is bad in this game. You don't want greedmongers. We want people who are, you know, active in the community and working together. And so, yeah, there's the way the land is set up. You'll have some power, but hopefully you won't abuse it. Some people will.
Speaking of, you know, like this conflict or whatnot, if I get pissed off at you, can I go kill you?
If you find me in one of the PvP zones.
Okay.
See, you know, the way player versus player is going to work in Greedmonger is we are going to have open, full loot player versus player, but it's only going to be in specific zones. So, you know, and these zones are going to be massive, mind you. They're not like, you know, you're running into a little, you know, 10-man instance or something like that. I mean, these are massive zones that are going to be equal to the size of, you know.
Can you compare it to Ultima Online, the beginning of Ultima Online, where the only safe zones were cities?
No, because it's not going to be like that. If you'll know when you're going into a PvP zone, because the climate, it's going, okay, Greedmonger is going to be broken down into what I'm calling climates, okay? Mm-hmm. So one climate, it's a weather condition. It's what you're going to find there, the kind of wildlife that's indigenous to that climate. You know, the climate that we're working on for the first player versus player zone is kind of like hot, you know, crazy, kind of twisted kind of climate, okay, where there's going to be a lot of stuff going on. You know, the grasslands, that's another climate. I mean, that's green trees and green grass and things like that. The desert lands, it's another climate, so forth and so on. So, I mean, these climates are going to be very, very large, and there will be players with houses in these player versus player climates as well, okay? Mm-hmm. So, you know, but you're not going to be able to destroy somebody's house. You're not going to be able to go in and steal from their house. You know, this is when people are paying real money for something, they don't want to know that somebody can just walk in and, you know, take what they want just because they leveled up a skill. So it's going to be a little bit different in that sense, where we're not going to allow that sort of stuff. If you have now walking out of your house, somebody might kill you, so you're going to have to be more careful. But there are going to be some things that players will be able to partake in that are going to really up the ante. So if you want to be a hardcore player and you want to show everybody how, you know, skilled you are in player versus player, and you want to, you know, really kind of push your blood pressure to the limit, you're going to be able to do that with some of the things we're implementing. We are going to have a permadeath option, and it's something that we're calling a death knight, which means that when you die in the game, there are going to be a whole new set of skills that you'll be able to level, okay? and you will be able to use them in player versus player, PVE, pretty much wherever you want to. But I'm calling it the Death Knight and the Necromancer. These skills are going to be focused on you in the afterlife and what you do in the afterlife. When you first die and start leveling these skills, you're not going to really be able to interact with or have an effect on anything living in the world. But as you continue to level these skills, you'll find that you're able to inflict more damage on different beings, on different animals, and you're going to take a lot less. When you're a Death Knight or when you're a Necromancer, you're going to take a lot less damage. Nobody's going to be able to heal you because it's all energy based. But when you die, you'll reach a certain point in the skill set that you'll be alerted to the fact that you are, if you die, you're dead. You need to re-roll your character. So it's basically kind of it's a way for people that really want to get that extra rush when they're fighting to be able to do that and have complete control over how far they want to take it. Some people are going to take it to the max. They're going to play with their characters as Death Knights or Necromancers for a long time. And as soon as as soon as you're healed or resurrected, then it's done. You don't have to worry about it anymore until you die again. So you're going to be able to go back and forth between the two. Yeah, and that's just one of the things that you're going to be able to do as well as far as PvP and PvE is concerned.
So now there are people that are hardcore on both ends. There are people who will seek conflict, and there are people who will seek to stay away from conflict.
Right, they'll be able to do that.
And now, for someone who just wants to play against the environment, what am I going to go out and do? Are there monsters in the game?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, and what kind of loot will monsters drop?
Everything and nothing. I mean, no finished items are going to be dropped from anything you kill. Mm-hmm. Every finished item in the game is going to be crafted by you or other players, period. There really aren't going to be any exceptions. Even special, items, finished items that were rewarding for, pledges and things like Kickstarter, you're going to have to craft those. We're going to give you the materials to craft those items. So we're not breaking our whole idea behind this at all. But yeah, you're gonna fight. There are gonna be lots of monsters. There are gonna be some raid monsters. We're actually gonna have some AI code that some of these monsters are going to learn with every fight. They're gonna get stronger and stronger every time you fight them.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
will they be able to, if they kill you, will they be able to pick up your weapon and then use it against the next guy?
Well, no, but what expect from the player base is they're going to basically adapt to the environment. So if a bunch of people come at them and kill them with fire, they're going to learn how to better defend themselves against that attribute or that skill or whatever it is going on. So there's no real surefire way of you're not going to basically walk into one of these, and not all raids are going to be like this, not all raid mobs, but some of them will. You're not going to be able to walk in every time and know exactly what you need to do to beat them. Mm-hmm. So I want to kind of avoid the whole, if we have 16 men and we line them up here and each of them hits this button at this time, we'll beat them in 15 minutes.
You don't want it to be mechanical.
Exactly. I don't want it to be mechanical. I want it to be very dynamic.
That sounds pretty interesting.
Yeah. We were actually talking about it today because we're going to have to reset it, fairly often because otherwise it'll get to the point where it's absolutely unbeatable. So,
but wouldn't that be awesome? I mean,
it'd be a nice little joke on everybody.
Well,
that's unbeatable. We didn't reset them today.
but wouldn't that be something to where then this becomes a bigger threat to a community, and the community has to work together, get more people together to remove this threat? Sure.
And what plays into something that we're doing, it's dev controlled monsters. I'm a gamer. I'm doing this because I want to play it, but I also like messing with people. So there are going to be periods where you might notice a bird, that's flying around, possibly a crow, and you're just sitting there, and all of a sudden it's talking to you, and before you know it, people around you are starting to morph into stuff that I control, and a whole raid opens up, and if there aren't enough people there to take me out, I'm going to have my way with all of you. So. And some of us are going to be good. Some of the devs are going to be bad. I know James wants to be a good guy, and Miguel, I think, wants to be a good guy. I like being the bad guy. I like to, go in there and mix it up and really just play games with people. I mean, you never really know with the dev controlled scenarios that we're gonna be doing. It's gonna be completely random. When we have time, we're gonna go in there and mix it up with everybody in ways that's really gonna blow some of your minds. And you won't necessarily have to kill us. Because it's going to be pretty hard, but you won't necessarily have to kill us to be rewarded for the effort, depending on how everything plays out. But they'll be exciting, and that's really the biggest thing. We're going to make sure these are exciting.
Cool. Hey, tell me what your vision is for guilds, and what does warfare or what does PvP look like for guilds?
Originally we weren't going to implement faction PvP, but there's been such a demand for it on the forums, and everybody's really talking about it and throwing around ideas on how it would work and what they would like to see. So I think we're going to implement it. I mean, the way this, it's really difficult to talk about the game because there are things that I don't want to say because they technically aren't supposed to exist. There is no story in the game, but there is over time, that kind of thing. The castles in the game actually play a role in what's going on in the story and what people can do, okay? And what everything means and what your ultimate goals are and things like that. As the story starts to unfold and people start finishing some of the puzzles and figuring some of this stuff out, you're going to find that there's a reason to fight some of the other people, okay? So if you own a castle, you have a guild that's formed and doing well, I have a castle, well, there might be a reason for us to go to war. And so there are going to be reasons to have faction PvP, but I wasn't sure if we were going to implement that. And I think now we are, because the deeper we get into things, the more sense it makes. So ultimately, yes, I think we are going to have faction-based player versus player, but I still don't know 100% yet how far we're going to go with it. Now, it's something that could grow over time. It could take more shape over time. And what I mean by that is, I don't know if we are going to say, well, if you're from House Darium and I'm from House Appleton, we can just fight each other anywhere in the world we are, or if we still just want to limit it to the player versus player areas. That's some of the stuff that we haven't decided yet.
Interesting. So, okay. Well, I think that... I think that it's... Okay, so one other question about the whole PvP thing, which is, what is the person who's more of a casual player who wants to play this as a social game, and they want to, just be chummy with their neighbors and everything, how, so if they live in a PvP area, then they, and they step off the doorstep, they're fair game?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, and there'll be other areas though where houses will be they'll not be PvP.
Yeah, I mean, outside of our initial player versus player area, our climate is the volcanic lands. So that's the area where all the player versus players is set up to go down now. And that also, of course, depends on how we implement what the full scope of the faction-based PvP is, okay? As of right now, all PvP is going to go on in the volcanic lands, all right? And it's actually set as a stretch goal on Kickstarter, but we're building it anyway. So I have been trying to kind of dodge that a little bit, but yeah, I mean, we're already
cat's out of the bag.
Yeah. Yeah, it is what it is, but the whole Kickstarter thing, it's just helping us get all this stuff done faster. I mean, that's really what it boils down to. And I don't have to pull all the money out of my account all the time now. So yeah, I totally just lost track of thought again.
No, that's okay. So
sort of.
I'm definitely looking forward to the risk that's involved with PvP and everything. So
that's right. You were asking how people are affected that don't want to be involved in PvP.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the whole game is really set up for those people. I mean, the player versus player element of things. That's why we are kind of starting to dive a little deeper into the faction-based options. because Greedmonger really isn't about player versus player, but we're implementing it because it can be fun. But it's definitely not the focus of the game. The focus of the game is the politics, the economics, the crafting. That's where the focus is. So yeah, I mean, if somebody just wants to sit around crafting and farming animals and making things to sell at their shop, then they're absolutely going to be able to do that without a problem, and they'll have a lot of fun doing it.
Cool. Well, Jason, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us about all of this conflict stuff. So, if you are thinking about this game, check out the link in the description. It goes to the Kickstarter campaign, and it will explain a lot of what Jason's talking about here, but it'll also give you a chance to get a piece of it now. And so I know I haven't decided yet exactly what I'm going to do, but I'll have at least one plot of land. I'm sure of it. So, and hopefully it'll be appropriately placed where I'm going to make a whole bunch of money.
Right in the PvP zone.
No. Well, I'll be selling like bandages or something. So, okay, well, Jason, thank you very much for taking the time with us. And now we've got one more episode coming up after this in a couple of days, and it's going to be the best one of them all. It's going to be about rare items and houses. And from what I've seen so far, I think it's going to be amazing. So, but you got to subscribe, come back in a couple of days to see the next episode, and that's when we're going to talk about it. So, Jason, thank you very much. All of you, take care.
See you guys.
If you made it this far in the video, you may as well subscribe. That's what I want you to do. You obviously liked it well enough to watch it this far. So look at this. This is Frostmourne. This is a Runes of Magic sword. This Runes of Magic sword is one that we're giving away as second prize to one of you subscribers, just for being subscribed. That's all you have to do. Subscribe and accept our messages, or watch our videos where we draw for prizes. So this one is it's a really nice sword. It's signed by some of the American staff for Runes of Magic. And then there's the big boy here. I got it on my shoulder because it's so darn heavy. The sucker is 16 pounds. Look at this. So it's a two-handed sword here, man. This is a beautiful sword. And we're giving this away when we hit 42,500 subscribers. It could be you. So, just subscribe. That's all you have to do. We'll do videos selecting the winners, and we'll send you a message in YouTube as long as you accept it. Just make sure you accept messages from us. To do that, put us on your contact list. And you just add Marky Dragon to your contact list, and then you'll be able to get messages from us, and you'll have 30 days to get back to us when we send you a message. Or, if we can't message you, you'll just be on video, and you just gotta watch the video and then contact us. So anyway, if you made it this far, you really should subscribe, and I would appreciate it. So anyway, that's all. Thank you. Monstercat.